to A Well-Designed Business. My name is Luann Nigara, and I'm so glad you found this podcast. Together with my husband Vince and our partner Bill, we have grown our company WindowWorks from the ground up. So I know and I understand the challenges you face in running your interior design business. I also know that your talent alone isn't enough to ensure your success. So on this podcast, we talk about strategies and practical steps to help you grow your business. But make no mistake about it, we have our share of fun here too, mixed in with those aha moments that I love so much. This isn't fluff. Nobody has time for that. Whether you are a new interior designer or a seasoned designer, I am here to help you create and to manage the kind of interior design firm that you dream of. It's straight talk and it's action. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hi, welcome to A Well-Designed Business. It's WTF, Window Treatment Fridays, and I have Vita with me as usual. Hi, Vita. How are you?
Hi, Luann. Thanks so much for having me again. It's been a little while, and I've missed you.
I know. It's been a hot minute since we've had a WTF, for crying out loud.
There's been lots of things going on, and this summer has been, summer. Well, it went by already, but
that's it.
It's good to be together again.
Yeah, it is good to be together again, but I don't even have kids in school. And guess what? Probably you don't either. But I mean, the thing is, it just feels different, not like the routine of going back to school. It's going to the kitchen table. It's insane. Yes. And I just want to say high five and tons of compassion and hugs to all of you that are having to figure this out with littles in the house. And you know what? And even littles are probably easier than high schoolers, or college kids.
Yeah, every age presents its difficulties and challenges for sure. My heart goes out to those with real little ones like Christy's, and then she has to be with them all the time. 24/7. But at the same time, those high school kids that, with my first grader and sixth grader, maybe possibly I can help them with some, math problems, right? But put me with the high schooler and, have me teach trigonometry, forget it. No. I couldn't do it.
You guys know me. Could you imagine if I was tasked with teaching any age kid of mine math? Come on, that would be a joke.
Oh, but you would teach them selling. You would teach them self-improvement. You would teach them life skills. Oh, my gosh. The stuff that they would never get in school. That's true. The real stuff that matters, actually.
It would be the school of hard knocks for reals.
That's right. You don't need to graduate and go to college and do whatever. You learn this now, kiddo.
That's it. It's let's go. We're going on a drapery sale. Come on. We'll learn math as we have to do our fractions for the darn calculator and the measuring tape.
Here's the difference between margin and markup, son.
Oh, my goodness.
Make some money.
That is true. So today we're going to talk about exactly that, how to sell window treatments. And, it's funny because, of course, throughout the series of WTF, this is the 11th show over about a year and a couple of months' time, we've taken lots of topics and certainly, if this is the first time you're listening and you're catching a WTF show, you can go to my website and go to the podcast homepage. And in the search bar, you can put WTF or Window Treatment Friday, or you put Vita. Any one of those will bring you up to all of the episodes that we've done that surround the education of adding window treatments to your product mix as an interior designer. And the whole idea of us encouraging you to add window treatments to your product mix is so that you can make money, because there's money in them there hills. I mean, window treatments are expensive, and but they are technical and they do require some knowledge, and we've had tons of episodes on the different ways to approach it. But today we are going to talk about the selling techniques. So Vita, get us started on what your thoughts are on selling window treatments.
So I'm excited about this topic, Luann, today, because we've talked about some of the technicalities of window treatment, some of the differences between hard and soft or ready-made and custom. We talked about business models. We kind of got into sort of the meat and potatoes of window treatments themselves, but here comes the time when we actually have the opportunity to teach our listeners how to sell those meat and potatoes.
Right.
We've told them the differences, but now it's, well, how do you actually present it to the client, sell it to the client, and actually make money at it, like you were saying. So it's interesting that it took us a year to quite get to that topic, but there's a reason for everything, and there's a right time for everything. And apparently this is the right time for this particular episode. So I'm excited about that. And the thing that I think the overarching theme that comes to my mind as it relates to selling is confidence, Luann. And I think you would agree, because I know selling is such your wheelhouse, and you're so great at it. And it's developing that sense of confidence in anything you do, whether you're selling interior design services or window treatments or whatever it is you do. It is that sense of confidence and knowledge, and being really sure of yourself and standing in your space, and knowing that you're providing value in that space at that price is what ultimately will increase your sales of anything, window treatments included. Would you agree, Luann?
100%. 100%. It just, to your point, you need the confidence to sell anything. You need the confidence to sell a stick of gum to somebody. But, window treatments it comes with information and knowledge, and really getting to the heart of not selling. That's the best salesperson in the world, is a salesperson who is so confident in their product and what their product and their service does and gives and brings to the person that they're communicating it to, that you're not selling anymore. You're sharing. And when
That's
you
right.
have that, the confidence, even if you don't feel like you have confidence in yourself all the time, if you have confidence in what I just said, the product, the service, the value, it comes through. And then that is what ultimately sells whatever it is you're selling.
And also another way of approaching something that, believe it or not, was kind of taught to me or brought to my attention, kind of to light to me by Sarah Brennan, our favorite Sarah Brennan,
Yeah.
and who used to be a teacher. And she, in one of her calls, it was kind of like sort of in between the lines, kind of nothing. It wasn't even her major point that she was making. But what I took away from it, or the clarity point that came through that for me, was selling is simply educating the customer on why they should buy X, Y, and Z, and why they should buy that X, Y, and Z from you, and how you make it different from anybody else. So it's not about pushing your service or your product. It's not about convincing them why you're the greatest. It's just simply educating them in the value that you provide.
100%. That's exactly, that's what I mean. It's when you are so convinced of what it is you have that's of value, you want to share it with somebody. You want them to have some of it too. And all you have to do is convey that excitement, that value, that benefit to them. And, to your point, it's educating them, sharing with them, whatever, verb you want to attach to it. But it starts there. I mean, that's why sales has a bad rap, because the car salesman, the used car salesman, the idea is that we knee jerk at that is because we don't believe that he cares about which car we leave the lot with. We believe he only cares that he sells a car. And that's car salesmanship and used car salesmanship or whatever. And of course, there's really good, amazing car salesmen out there. The stereotype is what I'm talking about.
Yes, I know exactly what you're saying.
Right.
Yep.
But, and I find with window treatments, there is so much to convey about the value, and it's, the product itself, for energy efficiency, for light control, privacy, for beauty, for aesthetics. It's all those things. So I don't find it a hard sell. It's, you have to have this. How could you not have it? Look how amazing this is. And like Sarah says, educate them on all those things.
That's right. And also that since we're talking about the value mindset, I kind of think of it from sort of a two-prong approach. It's about conveying, well, actually three-pronged, the one of which you just mentioned, which is the value of the product itself and all the features and benefits that it provides. The other two for me are these. It's the value that you provide as an individual. And the third one is the value that consumer ultimately sees out of all of that. So if I were to break down the first one or the second one, the value that you provide, to me, it's about basing your presentation, your pricing, your everything that you're giving to the customer, it's basing it on your personal differential advantage or the differential advantage of your firm if you're more than a solopreneur. Now, differential advantage may sound like a bit of a canned term or something out of a textbook, and it probably is, but it simply means what makes you different from everybody else out there. And that difference can come from a whole list, a whole slew of different things. For example, how much experience do you have in the field? What is your specific depth of services that you provide? And because of that experience, what is the knowledge that you've gained, and what mistakes have you made because of that experience? It also is based on your own personality and your natural dispositions. What accolades have you garnered from press or industry organizations, your appellations? Are you ASID? Are you IFDA? Are you MBA? Whatever appellations that you have behind your name. It can also be based on the team that you have behind you. So, I mean, that's just a short list of the various things that can that contribute to your differential advantage. But I bet you if you guys sit down and make a big comprehensive list of everything that makes you special, maybe not so much different, but what makes you special, that specialness about you is actually, in fact, what will make you different from somebody else who would walk through the door for that customer.
Right. It's 100%. This is our Fred Burns only, right? It's what makes us different. So when we think about, I love the list that you gave of the different ways that someone could think about their window treatment company or their interior design firm and consider the ways that they're different. The other things that go through my mind, it's simple. I love this because we're not looking for only pie in the sky things. We want those if we've got them, to your point, if you've won awards and things like that. But at WindowWorks, we talk about being family owned and operated for going on 40 years. We talk about our installation staff is in-house, that it's not subcontracted. So now that doesn't mean that if your firm uses a subcontractor installer, that's a negative. It just means that if you find the positive in it, what is the positive in it? Is the subcontractor, you know what I'm thinking about? Laura Nicole. She's an interior designer in, I want to say, one of the Carolinas. And I remember reading her website. She was on the show, my goodness, 3 years ago. And I remember in preparing for the interview with her and reading her website, and she was like, about us. And she had the team, and she was there, and her mother was there. She's partners with her mom. And at whatever staff was there. And then she had on the site a picture of the window treatment team. And she said, and this is, father and son window treatment team, their experience and expertise and blah, blah, blah. And I asked her, I said, do you actually, as an interior designer, employ a window treatment team like this full time? And she said, no, but I use them exclusively. And they're so good at what they do. And we've worked together for so long that it's a benefit to my clients that this is my window treatment team. So I lean on the fact that my installers are in-house, but there's a way to bring out a differentiator, a Fred Burns only, that your installers are subcontracted if they're that good. So it's just really, as you said, sitting with yourself and thinking, what makes my company fabulous? What makes anything about my company fabulous? But why am I really good at window treatments? Why? And it might be because of that extended team, or it might be because of something in-house. The idea is not to overlook anything, right, Vida?
You're absolutely right. I would encourage our listeners to make this list as comprehensive as possible. And the whole concept of what is your only, I love that concept, and I love Fred Burns. I've known him for over 10 years, I think. And actually, as a matter of fact, speaking about pricing, about 10 years ago, he and I and Michelle Williams with a couple of other people, we did a whole tele-summit on pricing for interior designers, actually. So I've known him that long. So, and I agree with everything that he's saying. And sometimes I think that when we hear what is your one and only, I think it puts a lot of pressure on us to find something so like significant and so amazing and so completely out of this world that we almost like scare ourselves out of our boots, and sometimes it may not be exactly possible. And so what I'm recommending here is that you create a whole big list of 5 things, 10 things, 55 things, whatever it is. And in combination, all together, all of those 55 things, that is your only. That is what makes you different. And that is your differential advantage. And that ultimately is what drives your value.
100%. If I say 100% one more time, just smack me virtually, okay? But I do. I keep thinking I agree with her 100%. The one thing that I want to add to that is that once you have this list, and whether it's 3 things, 5 things, 8 things, whatever it is, now what I really want you to do is attach a story to each of your onlys. Attach some illustrative story that becomes your go-to story for that point. And the reason for this is because we don't want to walk into any sales situation and say, have a seat while I go through all the things that make me amazing, right? Because that's boring. Nobody's listening and nobody wants to pay attention. But the idea is that you weave it into your presentation. You weave it into the conversation on the telephone. You weave it into every single time. So if you have a list of 5 or 6 things that make your firm feel and be special and deliver something of value, so for instance, for me, family owned and operated, right? So I can say that, but then I also make sure I talk about, oh my goodness, I have to go back to when my husband first taught me how to measure. It was hysterical, blah, 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 blah. And then what happens is in that conversation, it shows that I've been measuring window treatments probably since more years than this person I'm talking to is on the planet. It's like there's some credibility there. Or, the story might be about my showroom coordinator, who is just the kind of person that if you call her, she calls you back. How's that? That's really unusual in this day and age. But the idea is to not be caught unawares, to have this little cadre of stories. We don't need to memorize them verbatim. They can switch up. Right. You can add little details. You can take details out. But that is the art of selling, is when you are conversing and displaying and showing and sharing your value organically through conversation. It draws your client in, it engages them and gets them invested in you and your company by extension, and it makes you memorable to them, to the next person that comes in and simply presents window treatments.
I love that you brought up the idea of stories and to attach a story to each one of your differentiating points. There's that famous saying, facts tell, but stories sell. And ultimately, that's what you're saying. Stories is what will educate them. The consumer is what will communicate that value to them. And ultimately, it will make you more memorable rather than anybody else.
Exactly.
For me, my one of my kind of big stories that I tell, and again I kind of weave it in. I don't memorize it. It's not verbatim. But one of our for Vitalia Inc., one of our differentiating points is that we are. We're highly organized, we're detailed, and we're good communicators. So we're very on the ball with things. And where that comes through for me is I tell my clients that I'm a corporate dropout. I started this by design, and I started this as a conscious choice. And that choice was driven out of corporate and my ultimate dissatisfaction of corporate. However, in that corporate environment, I learned how to be detailed. I learned how to be succinct. I learned how to be that good communicator in my presentations to the board of directors, in my reporting to the president of the division, and all the different experiences that I had in the corporate environment that were very, very positive. And those are the positive stories and innuendos that I bring over to my window treatment business, and the characteristics and the personality traits that I ultimately bring to the business, and that's what consumer remembers me by.
I love it. That is such a perfect example of combining our Fred Burns only with our Erica Ward transferable skills. So Erica Ward, way back, I want to say episode 6 or 9 or something like that, she explained that, she had come from a finance background and having to manage big projects and budgets and needing to be on time in budget. And so when she started her design firm, she did just what you did. She talked to her clients about her ability to do that at a level that was 10, 20, 30 times larger than an interior design project would likely be, but that she took it as seriously and she did it as diligently. And it literally conveyed to her potential clients that trust that she's going to take care of their money. And so she called it your transferable skills. So you have a perfect little combination there of our Fred Burns only and our Erica Ward transferable skills. So then the next thing that we have to think about is the idea when we get into the selling process and into this consultation process with our potential clients is this idea of expensive. And we've talked about it before. I've talked about it a dozen times. It's a word that has no meaning. It's a word that actually means something completely different to every single person. And so therefore it has no meaning. Actually, it's like a fake word, I'm going to say.
Absolutely. It's a totally relative term. I mean, it's all about, well, what is expensive to you, to her, to the person next door? It's all about the stories that we have been telling ourselves our whole lives, the money stories that our parents instilled in us, bless their souls and hearts. I mean, they did the best that they could, of course, and so are we as parents right now. But nonetheless, these are all the stories that we carry with us throughout our whole lives, and ultimately we parlay them into our business. And yeah, with expensive, sometimes I always say, $1 wasted is too expensive, whereas $500 spent on something that you truly enjoy and value is the best investment ever. Yet the price tag is completely different.
Right. It's so true, too, because and I say that a lot. I just said that to a customer in the showroom on Monday. I said to her, she was talking about this or that and the other thing. I said, but you understand something. If you're going to spend $1,200 and you're going to save $200, but you don't like it, we wasted $1,000.
That's right.
Don't not do this product. You're going to have this, she's a young girl, not young, but 30s, moving into a new house, having a baby, and, doing the master bedroom in a brand new house. And I'm like, when is the next time you're going to do this master bedroom over again? Let's be serious. You've got kids coming, all kinds of things. It's 10, 12 years if you're lucky. So window treatments are costly, and they have great value, but to your exact point, if something is going to cost you $3,000 or $4,000 and what you really want is $4,800, you did not save $800. You blew $4,000, because if you don't really want it, it's useless, and you're going to want to replace it, and you're going to need to do it way before you should have needed to replace it, right?
Yep, absolutely. I also think that the whole concept of quote unquote expensive changes even within us as we go through life, as we become, maybe more established and more affluent. I remember when I first graduated college, and I worked for Burlington Coat Factory as an assistant buyer, I think it was. And I lived in Pennsylvania, and I had to cross the Burlington-Bristol Bridge from Pennsylvania to New Jersey. And the toll for that bridge was $1. I used to, Luann, no joke, true story, at the beginning of the week, I would put away $5 into, I think at that point it was like a cigarette holder in my car. At that point, I had those. But, tucked it away. I tucked it away somewhere in my car, those $5, so that I can be absolutely sure that I had that toll money for the bridge. I mean, that's how poor I was.
Right. It's funny. My mom lives about a half a mile from the Burlington-Bristol Bridge, Vita.
Yeah. So you should remember the $1 tolls. It's no longer so. I don't know what $5 it is or $10, whatever it is.
Right, exactly,
Yep.
exactly. So the idea here in this part of our little conversation is to just really recognize that window treatments are an investment, and to use the fake word expensive, I think they're expensive no matter what your meaning of expensive is. That's the point. They're not inexpensive. It's not $25 for a custom window treatment on any size window. And to just move through that and understand that you're not in your mind, if you're going to be effective in selling window treatments, you can't even have the conversation in your head or out loud with somebody that, oh, I can get it at the box store for $80 a window. That's like, and the thing is, I use shoes as an example often, is because so many of us understand that when we're evaluating, if we're at Nordstrom's or Bloomingdale's, if we're evaluating what we're going to spend on a pair of shoes, right? So we do it. Sometimes we don't want to spend more than $50 or $60. Sometimes we're like, that $250, that's a great deal. But wherever we're at, whatever we're doing, whatever the use of the shoe is, the occasion, we've got this little barometer that we're evaluating. But we're not turning over the shoe in Nordstrom thinking we're going to see $18.99. Like, we're just not.
Right.
When we go to Target to get shoes for our kids who are going to grow out of them in 60 seconds, yeah, okay, be awesome if they were $5.99 because we know we're going to throw them away in a minute and a half. So you go to one place expecting one thing and understanding, and still make your evaluation of whether the shoe at $5.99 or $18.99 for your kid is worth it. And you go to the other place, but you have a different set. My thing is, at window treatments, we're always at that other level. Don't even think you're coming in and do it. Because if you have that headset, you're never going to be able to sell it. When your customer says to you, oh my goodness, I thought that like 20 windows would be $2,000. You need to think you're out of your mind, lady. Not like, I know, there are a lot, aren't they? Right?
And that's exactly it. I'm like clapping. Nobody can see me. I'm clapping over here. I'm giving a standing ovation. That's exactly it. I just totally think you hit the nail on the head. It's about that interior designer or window treatment specialist knowing in their soul, in their psyche, in their belly button, like just truly owning the fact that window treatments are at a certain price tag, not expensive. You can call it maybe an investment, not necessarily, it's an investment, but you know what they cost. Now, in order for you to know and to feel it and to really own it, you have to get comfortable with it. In order to get comfortable with it, you at least, the very first step, you need to educate yourself how much they actually cost. So that, to Luann's point, when somebody says, oh, I didn't realize it was going to be this much, your reaction is not commiserating with them. Your reaction, well,
welcome to
it's
the
like,
planet.
Of course. Yeah, exactly. Like, this is like, yes, this is how much oh, I didn't know it was $2,000. Yes, this is how much it is. It's not the reaction, oh, I know it's too much. I agree with you. I can't believe it's this much either. No, the reaction is, yep, this is how much it is.
Right,
I mean, you have to be confident. You have to be assertive. You have to be totally comfortable standing in that space and saying, it is $2,000. Yes,
right,
it is.
Right.
And it's totally worth it. It's a totally worth investment.
And I love that you brought out that you need to educate yourself in order to get comfortable with it. Because, of course, I'm sure you've had the experience in your business as well, Vita, when a new designer comes to you and they've never done window treatments before. And they say, I've had them say point blank, never really done window treatments. I've kind of always with my clients just, ordered them from whatever online or blah, blah, blah. But I'd like to up level my business. I'd like to move into the next lane of offering higher end and higher quality. Could you price this project for me? And then when you send them the price, there's, oh dear. And so that's okay. It's okay to ask. It's okay to be surprised. But until you can really understand, and the next thing that you should do is ask us as window treatment professionals, why is it so expensive? Talk to me about the quality. Talk to me about the workmanship. Give me the information and the tools to go back to my client with so that I can fully express this value. And you need to keep doing that. And even as window treatment professionals, just keep pricing it, keep knowing it. I always say all the time to my salespeople, you got to be able to ballpark something on the fly. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the episode with Terry Taylor I had a couple of months ago, and she taught us how interior designers could do a room budget on the fly, on the top of their head with a client in a consultation. And to me, I was so impressed by that, right? Because it's exactly what we do at Window Works. I'm sure you as well. And it's exactly what I've taught my window treatment salespeople. If I'm a consumer and you want to tell me all day long that this is an investment, great, but you better be able to ballpark this for me before I spend 3 hours with you measuring and showing me samples. That's not only respect for their time, but it's respect for your own time. And so therefore, why do I want to show you, Roman shades and everything else when you have a budget for wood blinds? So, but the idea is ultimately do your homework, keep getting familiar with it, keep pricing it, keep having that ownership of the price point for each of the type of window treatments that you want to offer, so that it feels as normal to you as it would be to price a sofa. You know the value of the price point that you place in your projects for sofas. Some designers are in the wheelhouse of $1,000 sofa. Some designers are in a $10,000. Some are in a $40,000 wheelhouse for sofa. But whatever wheelhouse you're in, you believe it. So that's the point. You have to believe it with the window treatments as well.
Yeah, and I'm really glad that we're bringing up the point of the interior designers educating themselves on what window treatments cost. Now, I can hear, or see or feel some of them saying, well, just tell me how much they cost or what should they cost. And, we can give you kind of general pricing price points here in the Northeast, but the truth of the matter is it's all kind of different. It really differs based on your geography, and it also differs based on the value that you put on your own services and your own firm, that value that we talked about in the beginning of the episode. So in this particular situation, it may not serve you if we told you the exact price points that we use here, but rather we would encourage you to reach out to your workroom and to reach out to your vendors or to your window treatment specialist who gives you all that pricing. And to Luann's point, don't be afraid to ask them for quotes, and then don't be afraid to ask them, well, why is it $200 or $2,000 or $20? Strictly from the point of A, educating yourself, B, gaining confidence from that education. And ultimately, once you have the right confidence and the right mindset, that's what ultimately increases your value.
Right. And the other thing is that really is the one other layer to this is when you have learned that idea of the price point of various window treatments, now you're able to make this part of the entire scope of the budget presentation, as opposed to, because, in the beginning, until you really have a handle on how costly window treatments can be, you could sit there and talk with a client and say, hey, it's going to be about $25K to do your living room, your master bedroom over again. And not, if you don't realize that the window treatments could be another $10K, you're completely out of budget, right?
Yeah.
And then you start to extrapolate that across the whole house. I mean, some of these homes, 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 square feet, window treatments could be $150,000 easily.
Easily.
Easily. Yes. Yep. And so you want to, that's the other reason why you really want to have that knowledge in you, so that as you're in those preliminary conversations with your client, you're not, it would be like having a conversation with a client about a complete design build or a renovation to a home and leaving out the budget that you expect the kitchen to cost. That's as much as it could be. It could be anywhere from 40 to 100K or higher on a whole house of window treatments. And so if you guessed or you talked budget with a client, and then they went all the way through and accepted, and you're like, oh, wait, but you wanted a kitchen? Oh, no, that's another 100K. That's what happens when you're not prepared with the knowledge and the information that window treatments could cost. Because if you think it's an afterthought and your client isn't prepared, you are in for big trouble in River City. Right?
And absolutely. And I would go as far as, truly making it a line item in the whole scope of
Right.
the design project that you're working on. I mean, you have there's a whole space redesign, there's flooring, there's paint, there's furnishings, soft furnishings or case goods, there's electrical accessories, built-ins, wallpaper. I mean, your design scope can have probably over 100 different points and line items. And we just want to make sure what Luann and I are saying is that window treatments, if you believe in them, if you have confidence, then make that part of your design scope from the very beginning. It is truly a line item on your design scope. Now, how much money do you allocate to the line item? That goes back to what we were saying earlier. Talk to your window treatment support person, or if you're doing it in house, you have to figure it out. But that budget, some kind of ballpark number needs to be part of the overall budget from the very beginning, so that it's never an afterthought.
Absolutely. I know that on the retail level, I've said this on the show before, I've had over the years, mostly much more years ago, I think most consumers now do expect window treatments to be somewhat of an investment, but often you would, when we work with a retail client that's not working with an interior designer and is just, building their home with their GC or whatever it is and doing everything on their own, they would get into the house. And of course, now you're finally there and you call for window treatments and they look at you and they're saying, whoa, like I'm out of money. Like I didn't budget this for window treatments. And I've had people say to me, that window treatment costs more than the window. And I'm like, and? Like what?
Yep,
It costs more than a box of cereal too. Like what relevance is that? Because they both have the word window in it. Like stop that. And what I say to them is, you know why? I said, I'm not surprised. And I remember this one guy very clearly 100 years ago. Well, I am surprised. I don't think they should. I said, really? Because that window was made in a factory on an assembly line. Like a gabillion of them at a time spit out in a day, in a week, in a month. The window treatment I'm going to bring in here, some little lady is going to sit there at a table and hand sew it and make it to you, make it perfect. And then my installer is going to come here and hang it, and he's going to steam it, and he's going to dress it. He's going to putz with it for an hour to make it look amazing. Stop. Come on. It should cost less than the window. Like, what are you talking about?
And that's what's ultimately going to give you that enjoyment and satisfaction that you will get out of that window. Just looking at a blank window in a builder's great frame is going to do nothing for you.
Exactly.
But the fact that it's prettily dressed and goes together with the whole schematic of the room, and we often say it's like a jewelry on a beautiful dress, that's what's going to give you that ultimate satisfaction.
Right, absolutely. So when we think about more ideas and tips for, selling window treatments, whether we're a designer or we're a window treatment pro, I love, there's 1,000 different ways to go about this. But one of the questions that I like to ask is, have you done custom before? Because that's very telling, right?
It truly is. And actually here at Vitalia Inc., we have, and I'm sure you do as well at WindowWorks, we actually have a whole intake form specifically for window treatments. I'm happy to make it available for your free goodies, just exactly as we have it here. And it is surely one of the questions that we ask. Have you ever done custom window treatments before? And it is not to ask that question in any kind of derogatory way. It's a very non-judgmental kind of tone. It's simply to say, are you familiar with the process of window treatments or are you not? And if they tell us, yes, we have done it before, we say, yes, terrific, then you probably know how it works. And we actually go fairly quickly through the process anyway, right. Because God knows when they've done those window treatments, it could have been 20 years ago and it was with someone else. And I want them to know what it is now in 2020 and what it is like with Vitalia Inc. But where this question really serves you as a business owner, if the person hasn't done window treatments, then this truly is your opportunity to educate them and to show them how you work. And also, this is your opportunity to give them those ballpark pricing. Now, I know this particular aspect maybe a bit controversial in the sense that some people do it and some people don't. We at Vitalia Inc., we do go into ballpark pricing on the phone during that introductory phone call.
Yes. So wait, tell me that on the introductory, when you first are talking to them, you go through ballpark pricing?
We do. We do.
Oh,
very,
but you know
very.
What? Okay, you're talking to designers though. See, I can see that with designers. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
No, no, we do that with end consumer.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, we do. Here's how it goes. Luann, have you ever done custom window treatments before?
Well, my mom always had custom window treatments. No, she didn't in real life. My mom's laughing her head off right now.
So you probably have not done it for your own personal homes quite yet.
No, not yet. This is our first house, and we're just so happy.
How fun. So would it be okay if I just took a couple of minutes to go through our process with you and just give you a general ballpark pricing of what kind of investment you should expect?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so and then, I'm not going to go through the whole 5-10 minutes. So I'm not going to take this whole episode to do that. But the idea is that I give them briefly an understanding of what the process is like, what we do, how we do it. And then I say, and here's what you kind of can expect from the budget standpoint. If you're looking at a single layer of window treatment, probably hard treatments that provide functionality like light control and sun glare, you're probably looking at anywhere between $300 to $1,000 for a single window. Now, if you're looking at a layer of soft window treatments, which means drapery panels, curtains, valances, maybe some hardware, professionally installed, custom made, you're looking at anywhere between $1,500 to about $2,000 type of investment for a single window. Does that align with your budget, Luann?
Heck yeah. I have a nice, chunk of change I can't wait to spend. So I like this. I love this. Okay. But I do this in the house. I don't do this on the phone. That's interesting. Unless I have red flags. If I have red flags on that introductory phone call, or for instance, I'm in New Jersey and somebody calls from Brooklyn, then we're going to have that conversation. But that's interesting. So, and it just goes to show there's all different ways to do it, right?
That's right. There's also, and that's what I was saying, it may be a little bit controversial, maybe not the right word, but there's just exactly different ways to do is different ways to skin the cat. Here's what, and it goes back to what's really important to you. And Luann, for me, and this is a totally personal thing, and it will be totally different for everybody else, but for me, the idea of driving an hour to a person's house and then spending minimum of an hour there before we get to this whole budgeting situation, and then driving an hour back, which is at least 3 hours. And that's not even talking about preparing to go, collecting the samples, not even talking about context switching and any of that. A minimum of 3-hour investment. If that pricing is nowhere near their budget thinking, nowhere. I mean, if they're thinking they're going to get like a $200 drapery panel from Pottery Barn, for me personally, it has, and I've been there, and that's why I probably sound so passionate about it. It became such a resentful situation. I did not want to find myself in that situation again. I did not want to waste my time to do that. And I know what you're thinking, like, well, what if you're actually missing the sales? What if you have the opportunity to make the in-person impression with them and all that stuff? And you're probably right. I probably did miss some sales by quote unquote pre-qualifying the customer on the phone. But again, for me personally, on balance, the idea of I was okay with missing some sales rather than saving that 3 hours of my time and potentially recognizing an even a bigger sale being available to a different opportunity.
Well, I have to say, as I'm listening to you describe it. Yeah, no. But I want to tell you, I think that there's a layer that I have forgotten and I take for granted, is that with WindowWorks being approaching, almost 40 years in business, there is a brand and a reputation established. So I don't think I get a lot of phone calls from the market that is in our market. And that shouldn't be underestimated, right? And I can't forget to filter that into this type of evaluation, because I know for a fact that does happen, but it happens to us so infrequently. And so the few times that it does happen, we move on. And what I'm saying is, I think it's just that market awareness that comes with, nearly 40 years of, don't call them if you're looking for a bargain.
Right.
I mean, it's
like a church type situation. Not that you're not willing to work within their budget, but it's just not going to be for $2 a panel.
Right. It's like you don't walk into the Maserati or the BMW dealership if you think you're going to spend 10 grand on a car. You just don't go in. And so that comes with what our friend Nicole Heimer would say, with really defining your brand. But it does take years to do that. And I think back in the beginning, that's what made me realize that I think that's that little tweak that I have subconsciously just forgotten about, because in the beginning it did happen much more often, and now I just think, and so that's something to understand, that it's something you build, and to really pay attention, as Nicole says, to your brand and what do you put out there and what do you say about your company. And I don't say the words "we cost a lot of money," but we constantly are expressing our value, and that we're always calling out all the ways that we are completely different from what happens when you do it at a box store or the like. I don't say you don't get this at a box store. I just keep telling you what you get. And I think that a pretty intelligent, rational person would think it's probably not going to be the same as the box store. You know what I mean? So it's just an observation I think is interesting.
And I also want to bring up something that you say all the time, Luann. You say, decide what you will and will not do.
Yep.
And that is a very individual and personal decision for every owner of the design firm. And so you have to decide. You may be willing to go out and spend 3 hours on a potential client prospect, potentially selling them $3,000, $5,000, $10,000 worth of window treatment. And that is a completely personal decision. In my case, it was different. Now, another situation that is also maybe quote unquote controversial is, do you charge consultation fee when you go out on a window treatment appointment? Now, I know for interior designers that are going on an interior design appointment, that's different. I'm pretty sure they always charge that. But for those designers and professionals that are strictly window treatment related, there's a big discussion. Do you charge a fee or not? And I have to tell you, for me personally, we have been free, and then we have charged, and then we went back down to free again, and now we charge again.
Interesting.
So perhaps I'm making several points here. Number one is that it is a personal decision. Number two, it's okay to change your decision, and even to change it several times, depending on where you are on sort of like the continuum of your business progress and development, how busy you are, what the economy is like, what the situation, what your workload is like. So all of those things may be taken into the consideration. But for me, at the end of the day, the way we're charging now is, again, because my time, I put so much value on my time. And again, that's kind of to go back to what we were saying at the beginning of the show and why we spend so much time on it. It's all about the value that you place on yourself, on your time, on your firm, and everything that went into developing that value. And so for me right now, I do. I place significant value on my time, and I also place significant value on the time of my employees too. And we are blessed enough to have amazing work, also incredible amount of work, that when on those rare occasions, very rare, that a consumer calls us, because really we mostly service interior designers, we're to the trade, but on those rare occasions that a consumer does call us because they found us in some random way, we charge a consultation fee, and it's about $250. And here's the thing, what we say is, it's $250 that is applicable towards your order should you decide to place the order with us. So it's like it's not like they're just throwing it out and it's and that's it. And even with that proposition, if they start backpedaling all of a sudden, then right there and then I know that those 3 hours that I would be spending driving back and forth and the minimal time that I'm spending with them in their house, it's just not my customer. It's just not.
Right. And just to clarify a little bit, I don't think that it's I just want to say it's not as simple as we've been in business many years and our branding is so on point that we don't get the person who isn't our ideal client. But for us at this point, what we're doing is in the intake questions, how did you hear about us? Where do you live? Blah, blah, blah. So much of that. And I will tell you, in that conversation, if I'm hearing, like if someone comes to me, at this point, 6 out of 7 people that call us are referred by somebody else. So they know what this is, right? You see, that's part of that longevity in business. That's part of that reward for, being in the trenches all these years. But beyond that, if I say to you questions like, because we do always ask, oh, you want to do custom window treatments. Have you done them before? Oh, yeah, in my other house, in my apartment, I had silhouettes or I did drapes or blah, blah, blah. So I already know they know what we're talking about. But they're like to when I said, if you're in Brooklyn, I don't care what you tell me. If you're in Brooklyn, it's 13 miles away and it's going to take me 3 days to get there. I mean, that's just how it is. So you can be referred. You could have ordered from me last week. We're getting some dollar bills budgets on the table here, okay? But, the point is that even if there's any little bit of a red flag, then I will go into, do you have an idea of what the investment is? Would you like me to share that information with you? So I don't want anybody to think that just at this point in business, we do just run out to every single opportunity without any qualifications. I just do think in hindsight that I have much more people are going to call are already in my lane than are not. But I love the whole process that you do, and I think it's valuable, and it's particularly valuable to people starting out and going through this because you should not spin your wheels and waste your time on things that are not appropriate. So love it.
There are also 4 other questions that we ask as part of this intake form that all start with W. It's a who, when, wallet, and why. And again, you can grab this little freebie on Luann's website. I'm happy to share just this exact intake form that we use for our business. And I need to give credit to someone. This whole process was taught to me by Steve Burston of Exciting Windows. And of course, we all know Steve Burston. He is the hero and the veteran of the industry. And he had this woman named Joanne Brissett, who was incredible. And I took this class in business 15 years. So I was 15 years ago. Was one of the best investments I've made into myself back when I first started. And this class was taught, this whole process was taught to us over I think like a 2.5 to 3 days. I mean, that's how detailed and how in-depth they went into this. But ultimately, it boiled down to this intake form that we use and the type of the conversation that we have. And I'm happy to share it with everyone.
That's awesome. I love it. It's, I have for the last several years taught the 7-step sales process for Steve Burston and Exciting Windows. And so I'm sure a lot of that is the core right in there. Totally an amazing, excellent roadmap for really producing terrific consultations that ultimately end up in sales. Love it. All righty. So, I mean, this is a ton of information on, how to sell window treatments. And I guess the final thing is that you shouldn't sell every job, we're talking about the ideal, and we're talking about trying to maximize our opportunities and maximize our closes. But if you are selling every single job, or your closing rate is super, super high, then that means you're giving your stuff away, and you should not be doing that. You are doing yourself a disservice. You are doing the rest of us a disservice when you undersell.
Yeah, that's very true.
Don't let me find out, because I'll come beat you. I mean, right? Isn't that the truth?
We are the ones who will continue staying in business, but those people who undersell, they will be out of business in a very short period of time, except that short period of time is what will make it quite unpleasant for the rest of us.
So
but I also do recognize that, we only scratched the surface here. I mean, this is a very fun subject. Obviously, you and I always have fun talking in general, but, how to sell window treatments, gets kind of into the nitty gritty of it and gets kind of juicy, and, we get into the specifics, and it's very, very exciting. But like I said, even just the, stupid intake form, it took the class 3 days to teach us. The whole sales process can be taught over many, many, many weeks and months and years, people take to master it. And I do recognize that you guys listening, you have some specific examples or specific situations where you have gotten burnt, or you've gotten pricing objections, or you didn't get an order because of the price or because of something that you did in the process. I would love to hear your feedback. I personally would. If you could email me, and I would love to use your situation or your type of situation in some of our future podcast, because like I said, this is just scratching the surface, and if we can get deeper into a topic that I think is highly needed and could be very, very interesting to even some of the seasoned salespeople, that's the value that I would love to provide.
Love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. And before we go, Vida, tell them all about WTF Live on Friday with you and Kim. Where do they find it? How do they do it? And what is
it? Thank you. Okay, so everybody knows about the WTF Window Treatment Fridays that Luann and I do here on the podcast, and of course it's all talking and discussing topics. Now we thought, what a grand idea would it be to talk about window treatments, but actually show window treatments, because it's such a visual sport, isn't it? So what we decided to do is Kimberly from WindowWorks, and of course everybody has heard or met Kimberly, and myself, we get on Facebook Live and Instagram Live every Friday at 12 noon. And we show various pictures and pictorial references and personal installations that WindowWorks and Vitalia Inc. Have done, and just really show the inspiration and telling you guys what your options are and what the different ideas are, so that you can actually use that knowledge, inspiration, ideas in your design projects. In addition to that, every month we select several designers who we highlight on our show because of their window treatment work and in general their design work. Those are the designers that we have come to like and respect, and in some cases know personally. And we use that platform to highlight you and to shine the spotlight so that everybody can see you, see your work, follow you on social media. But ultimately, it's the idea of taking Window Treatment Friday podcast, making it visual, still keeping it live, making it live on Facebook and Instagram. And on Facebook, you can go on WindowWorks New Jersey page, and on Instagram, it is Vitalia Inc. and WindowWorks co-hosting or co-airing the Instagram Live. Come join us.
I love it. It's great. You two are terrific. You do a great job, and I'm so excited. We get a lot of good feedback from it, and what a great idea you guys had. So I'm so glad you did it. And Vida, I just love doing this with you. You're a heck of a lady, smart. You're a hashtag smart lady if I ever knew one.
And I will never stop thanking you, and I will never stop expressing my gratitude for selecting me and cherry picking me to be your co-pilot on these Window Treatment Fridays, Luann.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks, Vida. Have a great day. Selling window treatments, I'm going to say selling anything really does come down to getting yourself in the right mindset. The mindset where you are so sure of yourself and your product, okay, that you aren't selling, you're sharing. You're sharing. That's the thing. And I have to say, until you're really, really sure of yourself, as long as you're sure of your product, you can still do it. Because now just think about, it's not about you anymore. It's you've got this great product and service, and you want someone else to know about it. So even if your confidence and your mindset aren't quite up to, what they can and will be one day, lean into the product, the service, whatever it is that you provide, because that's where your passion will come through. And that's where little by little, the more you express it and the more you sell whatever it is, your design services, your landscape architecture services, whatever it is, the more you do it and the more people value it and appreciate it, the more that confidence rises up, okay? And then I have to say, it does remind me of our Fred Burns Only. And I mention our Fred Burns Only a lot because that's who really first came on the show and taught us about it. But I realize that I don't often tell you. It's episode 174. So if you're new to the show, go back and check out 174 because Fred talked about how to position yourself to have that only, that thing that really sets you apart and makes you unique, okay? Your differentiator. And one of the things that he emphasized in his talking about only is it doesn't have to be a huge thing. It's sometimes the little things that set you apart, okay? So if you're struggling with what is that unique value proposition that you have, take a listen to that episode and might get your wheels turning, okay? And then another big takeaway is that as a designer, you really need to overcome the idea that window treatments are expensive if this is where you're living, okay? I want you to take that word, throw it away. You know that it means nothing. I've said this to you before. Expensive is a completely relevant term. So I want you to you have to understand it's an investment, just like anything else, right? You wouldn't say, if somebody said, oh my goodness, this kitchen is so expensive, you wouldn't say, that's right, never mind, let's not have a kitchen. like you would be, of course it's expensive, it's a kitchen. And yes, of course it's expensive, it's window treatments, right? So it's an investment, all right? And I know if you're thinking it's not quite the same thing, then I know you're not there yet, okay? So when you understand, I know for a fact, I've been selling them for almost 4 decades. Window treatments make a difference. They make a difference in the project. They make a difference in energy efficiency. They make a difference in privacy, light control, make a difference in aesthetic. It's like saying I don't need the house painted. Yes, you do. You need the house painted and you need your window treatments, right? So anyway, I'm just saying, just think about the value that they offer. And then when you're ready, share them with your clients. And when you share them with the belief that they're valuable, the confidence will be there and you won't have to convince them. They'll want them just the way you want them to have them, okay? You still have to do your homework to figure out which ones are right, but that's exactly where people like Vita and I come in to help you, all right? It's the only way to sell anything. You have to be genuine, you have to be honest, and you have to believe that what you are offering has the ability to make a difference in your clients' projects. Okay? It's as simple as that. And speaking of being genuine, let's have a little chit chat about Jaypore Living, right? Jaypore is an industry leader, all right, for custom area rugs created by the most skilled artisans in the world. And working with Jaypore Living is really, it's fast, it's easy, it's transparent. This is an awesome company. They are set up for customer service. They want to help you. They have real-time inventory available on their website, and 98% of in-stock orders ship within 1 business day. Okay? That's pretty crazy. 98% of in-stock orders ship in 1 business day. I can't even fathom the machine that gets that done, okay? And you will receive updates on the status of your order throughout the shipping process, all right? So sign up for your trade account at jaypourliving.com/Luann. That's JAIPUR living.com/Luann. All right, now Vita said that she's got a goodie Okay, so make sure you go over to luannigara.com/goodies, GOODIES. All right, and you will be able to download that she gave us there. And I also want you to remember that Kim and Vita go live on Fridays at 12 o'clock Eastern Time on Facebook and Instagram, teaching some new tip and trick and idea about window treatments every week so that you can up your window treatment game. All right, and another kind of cool, fun thing, I meant to mention it during the show, is that, I just had Amber de la Garza on a couple of weeks ago, and that was like that whole Come to Jesus show about Luann being completely inefficient and wasting 18 hours a week, that I found out that I had a mental block, and Amber helped me. Well, Vita was on Amber's podcast also, episode 162, and I encourage you to listen to that episode. This is where, see, here we talk about window treatments, and I know you can tell that she's smart, but when you hear her talk about her whole business in an entirety, then you really will start to understand why I have pulled Vita in to be with me and work with me on this and other projects. She's really, really a smart lady. Okay. And I have a few other resources for you. Okay. We've been talking a lot in this particular episode about confidence, and you know that Desi Gresswell is going to teach Increase Confidence, Increase Profits this September. I mean, it's September already. My goodness, that's crazy pants, okay? But in a couple of weeks. Matter of fact, I think today is the day the early bird deadline closes, September 4th. So keep this in mind, okay? So you can go to increaseconfidence.increaseprofit.com, all right? Because a lot of what we did talk about today relates to mindset, okay? And mindset affects everything we do in our business, our sales, our marketing, the profit we make, the clients we attract, everything. And Desi is going to, over 6 weeks, really dive deep and help you understand the mindset blocks that you have, the limiting beliefs that you have, and more than that, work you through different exercises on top of all of the conversation and the Facebook group to break through. Okay, this is so important. I can teach a window treatment salesperson how to measure, what the different products are, all of that. But if the confidence part isn't there, the next step can't happen. So if you are struggling with confidence in running, in operating your business, I can't think of anybody more than Desi to help you with that. So please go to increaseconfidence.increaseprofit.com. All righty. I think that's it. A lot of stuff, right? There's a lot of different ways to grow and to move your business forward. I'm just always trying to meet you where you are and what you need. So take what you need. Don't look away at the rest. Don't you worry about it. Somebody else needs it. All right. But you do what you need to do. You do what you should do in order to make your business a well-designed business, right? You need to decide to be excellent. Thank you so much for joining me again today. This podcast is a production of WindowWorks, your resource for custom window treatments and awnings. To learn how we can help you on your next interior design project, go to www.windowworks-nj.com. And if you're interested in working with me on your business, either through masterminds or one-on-one coaching, or you want to know how to get my book, The Making of a Well-Designed Business, or you just want to know what's going on in the podcast land and where I'm going to be, all of that is found at luannigara.com. Thank you so much. Have an excellent day.